Dean Martin, famously known as the King of Cool, was a cherished member of the legendary Rat Pack. Although he undoubtedly led a colorful life, his journey was also marked by tragedy and sadness. Today, Dean Martin's children are revealing the truth about his private life. Considered one of the most iconic singers of his generation, he is synonymous with timeless hits like "Everybody Loves Somebody" and "That's Amore." However, behind the screen of his immense success lies a shocking and often somber story. The final events of his life shed a revealing light on his private world. Dean Martin was born Dino Paul Crosetti in 1917 in Steubenville, Ohio, to Italian immigrant parents, Angela, and her husband, Gaetano Crosetti, a barber. Growing up in an Italian-speaking household, Martin spoke only Italian until the age of 5, which made him a target for bullying at school. While it is unclear how this affected him psychologically, Martin eventually dropped out of school at the age of 16. His father attempted to persuade him to attend barber school, but Martin had different aspirations. Before finding his true calling, he experimented with various roles, working as a gas station attendant, a drug dealer, a dairy farmer, and even a professional boxer. During one boxing match, he sustained a hit that left him considering other options. Soon after, he worked as a blackjack dealer in a bar, where he amused co-workers with his singing. This led to Ernie Mackay recognizing his talent and offering him a spot on his team, prompting Martin to quit his job and begin his ascent in the entertainment industry. Martin officially began his entertainment career at 17, singing at nightclubs in Ohio under Ernie Mackay's guidance. In 1938, he was hired by Sammy Watkins of Cleveland and began touring, calling himself Dino Martini. A few years later, he adopted the name Dean Martin, the moniker that would become iconic. Changing his name wasn't the only transformation. Martin also underwent a physical alteration. After sustaining a broken nose from his boxing days, he had a nasal surgery performed, reportedly paid for by Lou Costello. Martin's club performances showcased his unique talent for singing while simultaneously drinking from a glass of whiskey. This distinctive act earned him a reputation in the late 1950s, inspired by Phil Harris, a man who built his career portraying a drunken entertainer. Harris once joked that he drank a mix of scotch and carrot juice, explaining, "I get drunk, but I see good." Martin humorously echoed this sentiment, though in truth, he cultivated an image of a carefree drinker rather than fully embracing the lifestyle. Despite this carefully constructed persona, Martin was not especially sociable. In a 1967 interview with Oriana Fallaci, he admitted that during social gatherings, he often remained quiet, citing his discomfort with speaking English fluently. Dean Martin's career truly soared in 1946 when he began collaborating with Jerry Lewis. Their partnership marked the beginning of his rise to stardom and cemented his place in entertainment history. After meeting at a nightclub party, this comedic pair began incorporating each other into their stage shows. The following year, they started making movies together, and in 1950, they honored local theaters nationwide with the Colgate Comedy Hour program. Martin and Lewis collaborated on 16 films between 1949 and 1956. Despite their success, tension grew behind the scenes, as Martin felt that Lewis had too much control over their work. This strain culminated in Martin choosing to work without his comedy partner. In July 1956, they played their final performance and broke up, severing all ties. Their shared friend, Frank Sinatra, attempted to facilitate a reconciliation on screen in 1976, but People magazine described the encounter as uncomfortable. It was only after the tragic death of Martin's eldest son, Dean Paul Martin Jr., in 1987, that the two decided to mend their relationship. Lewis attended the funeral, marking a poignant moment of reconciliation. Following the split with Lewis, Martin resumed his solo vocal career, eventually relocating to Las Vegas. His career flourished as a performer with the renowned Rat Pack, a Hollywood clique that included Peter Lawford, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and Joey Bishop. The Rat Pack, known for their glamorous lifestyle filled with luxury, women, and alcohol, transitioned from Vegas shows to collaborative appearances in motion pictures. Martin's relationship with Sinatra was particularly special, lasting over 40 years and encompassing performances, film projects, and even family gatherings in Palm Springs and Los Angeles. However, after the death of Martin's son in 1987, their friendship faced a crisis. Struggling with his loss, Martin abandoned his friend on tour, leading to a falling out. Reflecting on their bond after Martin's passing, Sinatra described Dean as, like the air he breathed, a brother by choice rather than blood. As Martin joined the Rat Pack in the late 1950s, he embraced a lifestyle surrounded by the glitz and glamour of Hollywood's elite. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall were part of the original Rat Pack. According to Rat Pack Confidential, Bacall offered advice on not staying up late, drinking excessively, or worrying about others' opinions. Martin was seen as the ultimate party maker, yet the public image he presented diverged significantly from reality. As Desert Sun revealed, Martin was often the first to leave a gathering, retreating home while the late-night revelry continued. Comedian Tom Dreesen recalled that if Sinatra, nicknamed Old Blue Eyes, insisted on an after-party, everyone complied, except for Martin. Despite his association with the party-heavy Rat Pack, Martin was, at heart, a family man. According to Desert Sun, he cherished his blended family, which included 4 children with his first wife, Elizabeth MacDonald, and 3 more with his second wife, Jean. While his nights out with Sinatra were legendary, Martin maintained a deep love for his family, solidifying his reputation as both the King of Cool and a devoted father. Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra were not only collaborators but close family friends. Their families often spent time together, and joint outings were a regular part of their lives. Martin's daughter, Deanna, recalled in her memoir, "Memories are made of this, how the kids from both families were great friends." However, the happiness in Martin's personal life was disrupted when his son, Dean Paul Martin Jr., tragically passed away in 1987. Dean Jr., an Air National Guard captain, disappeared in the mountains during a training mission. After days of searching, President Ronald Reagan even dispatched military aircraft to assist in the rescue efforts. Despite these efforts, Dean Martin turned to psychics for help. One of them, named CHA, flew in a private helicopter to identify the crash site, which ultimately revealed no survivors. Martin's public persona often included a drink in hand, but contrary to appearances, the golden liquid in his ubiquitous glass was Martinelli's apple juice, not alcohol. According to Desert Sun, Martin's slurred speech and inebriated behavior were part of his act. His backup vocalist, Patty Griot, and dancer confirmed that Martin's heavy drinking image was a ruse. In an interview with BU Today in 1961, Martin revealed to the Saturday Evening Post that he drank far less than people assumed, having given up heavy drinking years earlier. However, the death of his son Dean Jr. profoundly affected him, leading him down a path of alcoholism. The Dean Martin Show was another significant part of his legacy, remembered for its casual and relaxed atmosphere. Dean's immense popularity, bolstered by his 1964 hit song, Everybody Loves Somebody, which topped the charts over the Beatles for a week, earned him an offer from NBC to host his own variety show. According to Nostalgia Central, Martin negotiated unique terms, allowing him to own the show after its first airing and work only on Sundays. He rarely attended rehearsals, often watching them from his dressing room monitor unless football was on. His hands-off approach didn't hinder the show's success. From 1965 to 1974, The Dean Martin Show drew an impressive 40 million viewers. Reflecting on its success, Martin credited his authenticity, saying, "It's me up there on that screen, it ain't nothing phony." Dean Martin's influence extended to other musical legends, including Elvis Presley, who admired Martin despite the generational gap. The relationship between rock and roll stars like Elvis and big band crooners like Frank Sinatra was often strained. Sinatra famously dismissed rock as phony and false, describing its performers as cretins and goons. However, by 1960, Sinatra softened his stance, performing alongside Elvis. Despite this tension, Elvis idolized Martin, often covering his songs. As early as 1954, Elvis recorded Martin's "I Don't Care If the Sun Don't Shine." Years later, during a concert where Martin was present, Elvis performed "Everybody Loves Somebody" as a tribute, a moment he likely cherished for the rest of his life. According to Elvis Australia, Dean Martin's daughter Deanna once recalled a memorable encounter where she met Elvis Presley. The rock icon leaned in and reportedly said, "They call me the king of rock and roll, but your dad is the king of cool." Interestingly, Dean Martin, who lived to be 78 years old, was known for reading just one book in his lifetime, Anna Sewell's Black Beauty. The comedian was quoted as saying, "If you have luck, you don't have to be smart." Despite not being book smart, Martin was an avid reader of comic books, which he adored and continued to enjoy well into adulthood. As The Guardian noted, comic books were his idea of serious reading. On one of the rare occasions Martin was starstruck, his partner Jerry Lewis revealed it was when he met Bob Kane, the creator of Batman. Martin's passion for comic books even led to an opportunity to star in the 40-issue comic book series The Adventures of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, which ran from 1952 to 1957, featured Martin and Lewis as its subjects, according to DC Fandom. Dean Martin passed away on Christmas Day in 1995 from acute respiratory failure. His health had been deteriorating for a few years, and in September 1993, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. Just 2 years later, he decided to retire from his professional career. Although Martin was surrounded by a large following of friends and admirers, he lived a quiet and private life in his later years. He enjoyed dining out but disliked large gatherings and parties, according to his manager, Mort Viner. While many attributed his reclusive behavior to the tragic death of his son in 1987, Martin insisted he had always been a quiet person. In remembrance of the legendary Rat Pack member, the lights on the Las Vegas Strip were turned off following the announcement of his passing. Naturally, his close friend Frank Sinatra made an emotional public statement, which included the words, "There will always be a special place in my heart and soul for Dean," as reported by the Los Angeles Times.